Assalamu alaikum, welcome back to the Live Garden. In this video I'm going to give you a quick tour of my vegetable garden. The weather's been very nice recently and the plants are loving it, so let's take you around and show you what I've planted so far and how these plants are doing. I'm next to my raised bed one, and in this raised bed I'm planting bottle gourds and my tomatoes, and also behind me on the side you can also see lots of greenery, and these are potatoes. So I'm growing two different varieties of potatoes, and I've started those containers back in mid-April and they are going crazy at the moment. Here you can see I've got my bottle gourds that I've planted in here. There are quite a I've planted 2 rows of bottle gourds in here, 1 row on the side and 1 row in the middle. I've actually planted quite densely because I am trying to see how they will do. Of course, you can also see that I'm using the tomato string method to divert the plant to the trellis on top, and I will try to cut off most of the side shoot. I'm just going to keep 1 or 2 to go into the trellis. So I'll be doing a lot of cutting, like first generation, second generation and third generation cutting. Most of the plants you can see I've already done the 1G cutting, and few of them I've already done the 2G cutting also. So yeah, the plants are doing really well. Here's a surprise for you guys. You can see that's actually a bottle gourd. So I will be hand pollinating this. I have one of the male flower just in here. So yeah, I'll be using this to hand pollinate the female flower in here. If you've been watching my video, you know that I've started quite a lot of bottle gourds back in February, but I haven't started all of my bottle gourds in one go, so I've done in 3 batches. So when I planted those out in this raised bed, I've done the middle batch that I grew. I've hardened them off first, so they are this row in the back there. They're all mid batch of bottle gourds, and then these 4, and so this one here, and these 4 bottle gourds plus that one, so 5 of these were the very first batch of bottle gourds that I started back in February, and they've basically reached the trellis now. I hardened them off last, and I've also planted them out later than the other 2 batches, just because they were much harder to move them in and out of the house to harden them off. So, and then the final batch of bottle gourds are in the middle row in here, and yeah, they are also thriving. Here I've also planted some hyacinth beans in here. So I'm growing 2 varieties this year. I've planted those in here so that I can make use of the fence on the back. So I will be putting some sort of proper support in here so that these hyacinth beans can climb up. Here are the tomatoes. Again, I'm growing 3 or 4 different varieties of tomatoes. Most of them are my own collected seeds from last year. One variety, which is this one here, I think it's called Ildol. I don't know how to pronounce that, but it's a cherry tomato variety, and I've only so this is the variety that I'm growing new this year, but tomato plants are doing really well as well. And yeah, the flowers are the plants are starting to flower as well. And that variety, the new variety that I'm growing this year, is actually, we've already got the tomatoes, so which is nice. In between raised bed 1 and 2, I have some more potatoes, and they're doing really well. So what do I have in my raised bed 2? So here is my raised bed 2. Again, some hyacinth beans, puri, planted in here about a week ago, and then this is my main chili super hot chili plants growing bed, and I have planted many of my super hot chili plants in this raised bed, and they are settling in. So I've also, during the transplant, when I moved them out uh, from my greenhouse, I've transplanted them in two batch. So this side of the bed, all of the chili plants that you see is actually the later batch, and the first batch is this. These are the first batch that I've taken out and transplanted in here. Overall, they're not doing that bad. I just need to figure out how to make them comfortable in this raised bed. I have got some interplanted lettuce in here that I planted before I actually got the chili plants transplanted in this raised bed. So I've kept some of those lettuces still in this raised bed. I haven't harvested them all because I do like my lettuce fresh. Therefore, whenever I need them, I harvest them as I go. These variety of lettuce, you can see they started to form lettuce heart, and soon I'll be harvesting them. And here I have spinach. Is going crazy with this recent heat, and you can see the leaves are really large, which is nice, and they taste really good. We've already harvested once, and yeah, I'll be harvesting soon again, another round. So this is the raised bed 2. I've got some fennels in here that are thriving, and then this border is my flower border. So I'm not going to give an update in this video. I'll make another video for my flower garden update. But in this border I have planted some Malabar spinach in here. So I've got 3, 4, 5, 6 Malabar spinach planted in here. The reason being, I've installed some trellis system on my very long fence, and I hope I will be able to guide this Malabar spinach into this string so that they can climb up those string and grow on for the season. Right, let's move on. So that's my raised bed 3, and you can see here I've planted the squashes. So I've planted six squash plants in here. You might be wondering that why so many in so small space. That's because I have a system. I will be growing them vertically, meaning I'll be putting some sort of support stake in here, and then I'll be growing them upward. If I follow this system, I can actually plant those squash plants densely. It shouldn't be a problem. It shouldn't be an issue for me. There's actually 3 different varieties. That's all zucchini and squash I'm growing this year. I've got some space left in this bed, but I'll be making use of it soon. In this side, I am growing some cucumbers, and again there are 2 different varieties of cucumbers, one gherkin and another is called dragon egg. So that's raised bed 3. Raised bed 4, here's raised bed 4. As you can see, I've got raised bed 4 already planted up. So what I'm growing in here, I'm growing some radishes, mullah. So that's my 2nd or 3rd batch of radish that I've planted this year. And they are starting to, the mullahs are starting to form, as you can see in here. And then in between, I've also transplanted some more super hot chili varieties in here. So this is Carolina Reaper chocolate variety, all those 3 plus 1 here. And then these chilies are actually called turtle claw. So they are smaller. They look like regular chili, but they smell, the fragrance is like the naga and super hot chili varieties. So, and I've also got, interestingly, I've also got some okras planted in here. I had some doubt, but I didn't know whether they're gonna make it. I've also, of course, I've started them indoor, but I've also hardened them off before I transplant them in here. But I've planted 11 okra plants, and I've lost 2. I've got 9 remaining, and I have a feeling that they're going to make it. So they are starting to produce new leaves in here. This one I'm not sure. This one probably I'll lose. But these ones, they're gonna make it. They're starting to show some sign of growth. So there are actually 3 different varieties of okra in here. And then in between I've also got some beetroots in here. So that's the raised bed 4. Moving into raised bed 5. Raised bed 5 is actually looking really nice in this time of year. So in this bed I've got leafy greens. So I've got cabbages in here, red cabbages, and look at the size of this cabbage, guys, and look how healthy they are looking. They're looking really nice. And here I've got colettes. So this is, again, I've mentioned in several of my previous videos that these are a hybrid between kale and Brussels sprout. And this one here, so these are Brussels sprouts on, non-hybrid version, obviously, but look how healthy they are. Another row of colettes and interplanted with beetroot. These colettes and cabbage, look at the size of this red cabbage. And then another collet, and this plant in here is a volunteer. It's a plum tree. I think it's started from one of the seed from this plant, this tree in here. So that's my raised bed 5. Moving on to my raised bed number 6. Here you've seen in my previous video that I was growing lettuces in here, and still there are lettuces remaining in this bed. I am gonna be harvesting those remaining lettuces soon, but I have already planted up some more of my chili plants in this bed. So these 3 are hot lemon variety of your regular chilies, and then I have the super hot chilies in here. So these are Naga white, and I have 5 of these plants in here. And then I have the Carolina Reaper orange, and this is a cross between a Carolina Reaper red and Carolina Reaper yellow. So this cross is actually my own cross, and I planted them in here. On the end of my raised bed 6, I have planted some dwarf French beans, and these are 2 clumps in here, and hopefully soon they will take over this side of the bed and they will bush up, and it's going to look really nice. But they are showing really good sign of growth. Look at the leaves in here. All right, so raised bed number 7, what I'm planting in here. So I've got onions in here that I've planted a while back, but they are doing really well. I've got 1 row of super hot chili in here planted as well. So this variety is regular Carolina Reaper red, but the seed, again, I've harvested last year from my last year's harvest. I've also got more red cabbages in here. They're not growing as good as the ones in raised bed 4, but they're not doing that bad. They're still growing. And here I have some green cabbage, just regular cabbage, and 1 Brussels sprout in here. Raised bed 8, I planted some Chinese pothole in here. So there are 4 plants, 4 Chinese pothole plants in here. I think they were planted about three weeks ago, and they are starting starting to pick up, so they're doing well as well. Some of them start to flower, so we'll see. We'll probably gonna get some potholes very soon. And then I have one plant of one of those plants. This is a Armenian cucumber. I have few more Armenian cucumber plants in my greenhouse. I just haven't got around planting those in my raised bed yet, but I'll find some space for those soon. I've got some space in here underneath my trellis in this raised bed 7, but I'll probably plant some leafy greens in here as well. And then here I have planted some water spinach. In Bengali we call it kolmi shag. So they are settling in nicely. These were planted last week. And at the back I've got another trellis set up in here, and I have planted some cucumbers in here as well. So there are 2 varieties again. A couple of them are wilting, so I'll be replacing them, but 2 of them have, it seems like the 2 on each end will be making it, so but the 2 in the middle I'll have to replace. I have quite a few cucumber plants remaining in my greenhouse, so that's no problem. That was raised bed 8. So raised bed 9, this is again another raised bed where I'm growing my regular chilies. So here I'm growing many varieties of regular chilies, also mixed with super hot chili plants as well. So I have few not so big super hot chili plants planted in here, 4 of them, and then regular chili plants. I planted them last week, and there are, like I said, there are many different varieties in here. Hungarian black chilies, peri peri, basket of fire, hot lemon, mirchi masala, and what else? Also calamoris. So yeah, so these are doing well. Again, they're going through some sort of transplant shock, but seems like they're recovering. And finally, the last raised bed for my vegetable garden, I have some touch soy in here. Here you can see I have a DIY trellis that I've made from some spare pipes, and I'm using this to support my climbing beans. So I have already planted some climbing beans here, so there is on each 4 corners of the trellis. The variety is Cobra. So I have 4 plants transplanted in each corner, and then there's these climbing beans here. There are different variety. These are one of the variety that produces purple beans. But yeah, so there's this, and then I also have in this bed some mints, mustards, red giant mustards that I'm harvesting, and also lots of lettuces. The lettuce, look at the lettuce are going crazy with this heat, so I need to do some harvest of lettuces soon from here as well. And also I don't know if you can see, I have some cabbages in here as well. They started to form cabbage heart as well. So here you go, guys. And finally I've got some spare space in this side where I'm also growing some more red cabbage and Brussels sprouts, so they are doing well. So there you go. That was a quick tour of my vegetable garden, and so these are all of my raised bed, and hopefully you've got a good idea of what sort of plants I'm growing this year. Before I end the video, let's just show you what I have in my greenhouse. Right, so in my greenhouse you can see that I'm also growing some more super hot chilies and some regular chilies in containers. These are my backup plants just in case I lose or I don't get any harvest from my outdoor chili plants that I'm growing on the raised beds. So I'm trying to grow one plants from each of the different varieties that I'm growing outside in ground. So these plants are doing well in here, and also I've got some more spare chili plants in here that I need to pot up soon. Some spare tomato plants that I have, and also in here I've got some winter squash. So these I have grown previously, and they are a really high producer. So I'm going to be growing probably 2 or 3 and giving away another remaining plants. Again, there are some more regular chili plants that I potted up. I've got some baby seedlings. So these are different cucumber varieties that are my late sowing. So I'm gonna be planting this out probably late June at some point, so that I get a late harvest. Some leafy greens. So these are Swiss chards and Malabar spinach. Got some beetroots waiting to go out in the raised beds, and these are some spare cucumber plants, and here are the Armenian cucumbers. Some more cucumbers. So these cucumbers plants are actually started to flower in here, so I'm just taking those flowers off. Yep. And what else do I have? Some dwarf tomato varieties that I'm growing as well. Right, got a couple of spare bottle gourds that I need to pot up and take to a larger pot. These two I will keep them in the greenhouse again as a backup, and then I have a bay leaf tree in here. What else do I have outside? So some more chili plants in here, some more beetroots, and some flowers. And these are my second batch of tomato seedlings. So these doesn't get very large. They are already started to produce flowers. So you can see they're probably about 4-inch tall, but they are dwarf varieties, so I'm not going to need any sort of trellis to grow them. So there you go, that was the tour of my vegetable garden. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you did, please like, comment and share, and also subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in the next video. Assalamu alaikum.